shit, where's the button? Ha! I almost beat the button. I almost beat it. But I didn't. That's how we start the show around here. We start the show with a quick L. We go hard. Straight in, take the L right out the bat. Right out the gate. Right off the bat and right out the gate. What is up, everybody? It is Monday, the 7th of July. What is up? What are you doing? Oh, we got a weather check. We need a weather update. Let me check the weather. The humidities up in this piece. Oh, Wednesday is going to be a pain in the ass. Okay. Today it is 79 degrees Fahrenheit, which is 26 degrees Celsius. 45% humidity. Sun is shining, and the wind is apparently at 7 miles per hour. I will say the weather outside being normal is much to the delight, I will say. If you guys don't know, we just returned from the better part of 2 weeks, not a full 2 weeks, but the better part of 2 weeks, where we went to Miami, Florida, and Orlando, Florida. Considering that's the most recent thing that has happened, we'll talk about that right out the gate here. Miami, Florida, specifically South Beach. We were at a hotel on South Beach where a completely different class in our society is spending the rest of their days, as it were. And I'm talking about the ultra wealthy. We were surrounded by really wealthy people in an area that was absurdly expensive, and we'll get into some of the stupid things regarding that which happened. The reason we were there is that Vicky Toria had a convention that she was speaking in and was presenting or whatever. I don't know. I don't go to the convention part. In fact, they wouldn't even let me in. I didn't have a badge. So they were like, "Sir, you and this smaller sir, madame." Olivia and I weren't allowed in. We weren't allowed in. We wanted to go check it out. To be clear, I don't even know that we wanted to go check it out. Vicky was just like, "Come check it out." And we were like, "Yeah, all right, let's do that." And then we got shut down. We got the strong arm of the law said, you don't have badges. And then I said, "Badges? We don't need badges. We don't need no stinking badges." And they didn't like that. I guess they're not a fan of older movies. I wonder if we got it. Is there a clip?
Vengan acá todos. Vengan a ver esta palomita que me encontré en su nido. Está echadita.
Oiga, señor, we are federales. You know, the mountain police.
If you're the police, where are your badges?
Badges? We ain't got no badges. We don't need no badges. I don't have to show you any stinking badges.
Better not come any closer.
No sea tonto, hombre. We didn't try to do you any harm. Why don't you try to be a little...
Yeah, you get it. You get it. We don't need no stinking badges. Oh, somebody said Blazing Saddles? No, it's not from Blazing Saddles. It's from Hold on. I can't remember what movie this is called. The 1948 film The Treasure of the Sierra Madre. Yeah. Anyhow, you guys know what I'm talking about, but they didn't like the cut of my jib. They were like, "You can't come in here. You don't have badges." And so we acquiesced to their request to leave and vacate the premises. So we vamoosed straight over to a couch in direct eye line. We went nowhere. But we didn't get to go in and see what the convention was all about. It was about stuff that Olivia and I don't know anything about. So, you know, it is what it is. But Vicky was having to go on this trip. The convention itself was for 5 days. And then you have a day of travel on the front end, and then you have a day of travel on the back end. You know how it is. It's going to be the whole week, right? Whether you like it or not. So whenever this was scheduled, a year ago or whenever the hell it was, who knows, Vicky was like, "Hey, why don't you and Olivia come with, and then you guys can just, you know, do stuff at the hotel or whatever while I'm doing the convention part, and then we'll get to hang out and do other stuff." And I was like, "That's a great idea. Let's do that. Who cares? Book it." So we booked it. Unbeknownst to us at the time, we were headed to a place called the Fontainebleau. The Fontainebleau in... oh, there's multiple of them. Oh, there's one in Vegas? Let me see if I can't find the website. We went to I guess there's one in Vegas, but we went to the one in Miami. No, I don't want to accept cookies. No cookies. No cookies. You know what? We don't want the cookies. We're just going to go to image search then. Fontainebleau, Miami, because apparently a bunch of them is Las Vegas. So my understanding is that this place right here. Can we get a fucking image? What's up now? Add source. Here is a picture of the lobby. There's a picture of the lobby. So you're probably starting to get you're starting to get it, right? Are you starting to get it? So apparently the Fontainebleau itself, let's see if we can't get a picture of the outside to give you an idea of that. You get this? This is the Fontainebleau right here from the air. As you can see, there are 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 pools, and then another pool over here. 6 pools, I think. It is on Miami Beach. So, to give you an idea of the affordability of it, not good. Oh, here's an overhead shot. Here's an overhead shot that's pretty good. Oh, I have to come over here. And then go like this. And we'll cut the picture down. And apparently the Fontainebleau in Miami used to be where the Rat. This is where the Rat Pack used to hang out. Frank Sinatra used to fly down and play here all the time. They have a large dedicated area. Let's see. Oh, here's how I can show you. Right here. So this whole entire part of the hotel right here, this whole walkway that goes from here to here, this entire walkway is dedicated to Frank Sinatra. Then this walkway over here goes to an Italian restaurant, I think, if I got it right. This whole entire walkway is a Frank Sinatra museum. Not really any artifacts, but just basically telling you the story of Frank Sinatra coming to the Mountain Blue or the Fountain Blue every day. There's a picture of it at night. I was trying to see if I couldn't find. There's apparently a nightclub inside this hotel, and I will tell you that there's nonstop boots and pants. This place has nonstop boots and pants. Boots and pants and boots and pants and boots and pants and boots and pants. People at 2 o'clock in the afternoon popping champagne bottles with booty girls shaking. They're basically nude. They have like 2 triangles right here. And 2 tiny triangles right here and here. They're basically naked. They all come out. They bring out the champagne bottles with sparklers shooting out of the top of them. People are popping bottles. People are going crazy. People are scantily clad. Let me see if I can't find Frank Sinatra at... See if I can't find some of the images. Okay, like here's one of the Fountain Blue images of Frank Sinatra hanging out at the Fountain Blue, which apparently he would wear a full suit to the beach to talk to bikini-clad women and smoke cigarettes. Is he smoking a cigarette? It looks like he's smoking a cigarette on the beach. In his suit. He would wear his suit to the beach, apparently. I don't know how any of that makes sense. But apparently that's how he would do it. That's how he would do it. I don't know. I'm not in charge of Sinatra doing whatever it is that Sinatra does. Everybody else is in a swimsuit. The Rat Pack is wearing suits. Everyone's in swimsuits because they're on vacation. They're normal people. Sinatra and his whole gang are wearing suits. You know. Just normal beach behavior. You know? Just hanging out at the beach with your slacks and your tie and your button-down dress shirt. You know? Normal. Very normal. Very normal behavior. The Fountain Blue is just packed full of normal behavior. I want to give you an idea of something here. Oh my God, it's Vicky Toria. What are you doing? Hi. What's up?
If I bend down or sit down, I won't be able to get back up. It's too painful.
Keep it smooth. All right, there we go. I'm back. I don't know if you noticed. But yeah, we've returned from whatever that intrigue was. And yeah. What were we talking about? Oh, the Fountain Blue. So I wanted to give you guys like a little bit of a breakdown of like just how expensive this place was. Beach. And I wanted to I wanted to mention this. I don't know if you've ever seen these things before. I'm sure you have, right? Oh my God. You can't even order from their web. You can't even. Can you order from their website? Yeah, these are the guys. Okay. How do you look anything up on? Oh my God, you can't even order anything on there. All right, fuck it. Here we go. We'll just find a picture because nobody's fucking website is easy to use anymore. Here you go. So we'll just show a picture of this nonsense. So this shit right here, I don't know if you've ever seen one of these. They're a little tent on the beach. They seat a couple people and they have a couple beach chairs in there. Now, don't be a cheater if you already know how much it costs to rent one of these for a day on South Beach. How much do you think? How much do you imagine it would cost to rent one of these for a day on South Beach? Just, what do you think? Oh, whoops. Oh my God, I gotta go back to the picture. There we go. Anyhow, I wonder if you guys can figure out how much you think renting one of these for a day would be. Oh my God, you guys have gone. I gave it way too much. I gave way too much runway. I gave you guys way too much runway for how expensive it was. So on the weekend, it was $250 or $350 to rent one of these for a day, which just meant that you just reserved it. So the thing that I figured out is that they set them all up, right? They set them all up, and then they have a guy that goes around and checks your reservation and then shoos you off. Shoo. You get shooed away. They probably have guns. Who knows? It's Florida. It's legal. You know. The last time we bought one of these tents like this, it was $175 to buy one of these. And it's like one of the nice ones. It wasn't a super cheap one. It was one we got from Costco. So even if it breaks, you know, we're still up $75. Because one of the people that met, or their daughter met our daughter in the pool, and of course, you know, they spent like, you know, an hour together, and then explained to me that this is my best friend, and then you go like, what's her name? And they go, I don't know. Oh. And I figure, you know, if somebody's gonna be qualified as your best friend, you know, I feel like you should at least know their name. You know what I mean? Like you should know their name. But these kids, they don't know their names. They don't know what's going on. This is my best friend. We're hanging out. You see us? We were swimming in the pool at the same time. So then I started talking with the dad for a little while. And then he he explained to me the tent rental and just how reasonable it was at $250 a day on the weekday, and then $350 on the weekend. And then there was one day during the week that it was $200, and he was like, that's just so reasonable. So we rented it again. Yeah. There was a point where I had forgotten Olivia's sunscreen. You know? I had forgotten Olivia's sunscreen. And I was like, oh, I'll just buy some more sunscreen, because you can't really have too much sunscreen. And I knew that Vicky had only brought the one, which is the non-spray type, you know? And I was like, oh, Vicky said that we should pick up some more sunscreen for Olivia. That's the spray type, because it's much easier to get it on them, you know, for spreading sunscreen around, you know what I mean? You can spray them down. So I was like, all right, I'm going to go to the store here at the bottom of the hotel. Hey, they've got sunscreen right here. I was like, oh, convenient. I'm living in a world of convenience. I better just do the convenient thing and just grab some sunscreen from here. And instead of wasting a bunch of time worrying about the sunscreen, I'll just get an extra one, and then we'll have an extra one. And so the lady in the store, and I should have, you know, at the time I should have known better, but I didn't know better because, you know, I was newer to the area, and I'm like, oh, the markup's probably going to be ridiculous. It'll probably be like $12 or $15 or something. One bottle. Let me find it. I'm going to find it. Hold on, I'm going to find it. I'm going to find the exact bottle. Oh. Well, this is extra brutal because here's a 2-pack. Here's a 2-pack from Amazon. And by the way, if you're wondering and you want to click through our Amazon link, give me the Amazon link, you piece of shit. There we go. All right. Hey, if you guys want an Amazon link, you can go through that Amazon link right there and buy crap off of Amazon, and I get a commission. But that Amazon link right there will explain to you that 2 of the bottles from Amazon is apparently $13.97. One bottle. The lady took my card, and I was like, yeah, she went around the corner to run the card. And it was $39. Yeah, it was $39. It was $39 sunscreen. And you know, when people talk about coffee prices and going to Starbucks, and they're like, "Oh, it's like a $5 cup of coffee." And you want to know how much a cup of coffee was here at the Fiat Bleu? A cup of coffee, not even like a latte or whatever, was $9. You know? They're just literally like nickel and diming you to death with these like $30, $40, $50, $60, $100 charges all the time. Like I went and got a breakfast sandwich, 2 coffees, and a croissant, and it was $58. And I was like, I can't make that mistake again because I'm going to have to go milk a chicken, you know? I'm going to have to go milk a chicken instead of buying a breakfast sandwich because this is a bad idea. the place was quite expensive, is my point. It was extraordinarily expensive. We were around extraordinarily high rollers, as it were. I don't even know if they're wealthy, but they're spending money like they are. Don't care. Don't need to care. Don't need to know. Met some nice people. Met some scoundrels, right? And yeah, I think, you know, it's one of those things when I run into people like that. And over the years, I've had conversations with people that I'm like, they're so wildly out of touch to knowing the average experience of any human on the planet, other than their own weird, hyper insulated world that they live in, right? It's like there was a video I saw the other day that somebody had. I don't even know if it was staged or not. It looked not staged, to be honest. But somebody was like, man on the street interviewing somebody, and they interview a couple, and they're doing the joke of like, well, oh, how much money you got in your bank account? And the guy was like, they're like college kids. And the kid was like, oh, I have like $500 in my account, and he said it fairly confidently, like, yeah, I got like $500. I'm all right, and she said she had $80,000 in the bank, and then it immediately triggered an argument because he had just paid for dinner. And the girl was like, I don't know. My dad just puts money in my bank account. So, admittedly, like, the vibes there were very weird. It was definitely like a weird vibe. I don't necessarily enjoy that vibe at all. It's not for me. I ended up making good friends with the one of the pool guys named Manolo. Shout out. What's up, buddy? He's one of the guys I ended up talking to most when I was there because I'm like, I got a lot in common with the guy who's cleaning up the towels and shit. And Armundo, Manolo and Armundo, cool dudes. Those are people that I had the most in common with. Were the guys who were working around the pool. So, spent a lot of time with Olivia. I've spent a ton of time swimming. That was pretty much Miami Hotel. We did end up going to the original home of Flipper. If you guys know who Flipper is. So we went to the Miami Seaquarium, in which I did film a bunch at the Seaquarium. But I'm hoping that, because a lot of people that like know fish tanks and are interested in the ocean and interested in freshwater aquariums and whatnot, that follow this channel, you might be like, yeah, I know who Flipper was. Flipper was a dolphin in a TV show back in the 1900s, Which I will say, the Flipper TV show was like old-timey when I was a kid, It harkens back to the days of like Lassie. I don't know if you guys remember what Lassie was. But it was this sort of, I can never say this word correctly, anthropomorphication of animals. And that the idea that like you would have an animal that was your friend, and that you would impart like these superhuman characteristics to the animal. through the 50s, 60s, and 70s of American culture, that there was this idea that, like, you would be a truck driver, you know, you'd be a truck driver and your buddy would be a chimpanzee, right? And you'd drive around the country and get into hijinks. And then a lot of people bought chimpanzees and then got their fingers and anuses eaten by the chimpanzees once they reached puberty. I'd highly recommend anybody go look that up at some point in time of the absolutely terrifying chimpanzee attacks, right? Yeah, the final episode aired 13 years to the day before I was even born of Flipper. So you get an idea, right? But there's this long period of American culture that, it's a boy and his dolphin. It's a truck driver and his chimpanzee. It's a boy and his dog. And the dog would help solve crimes, you know, or there's always the old adage of, like, Lassie, what happened? Timmy fell in the well? I don't know if we got it here. Oh, no, this is the whole episode. Most played right here. Oh my God, what is this? Okay, here we go. So this was a TV show when I was a kid, and people would be like, you should have your kid watch this TV show. Let's see, we're kind of starting in the middle here.
They're going up to the well. Come on, Lassie.
Okay, they're going up to the well. So then the guy gets a sign out of his trunk. The boy and his dog, they're headed up the hill. Oh. Capital City Water Company, no trespassing. Violators will be punished to the absolute extent of the law.
Before my Gramps catches you.
Go on home, kid.
You got no right here.
I said beat it.
You can't put that here.
Okay, so let's... So let's recap what exactly just happened here. Okay, so this man from the water company shows up. Timmy and his dog both show up, right? Timmy and his dog show up. They say property of the Capital Water Company. They're posting a sign. Okay, he's posting a sign that says don't trespass here. This is the water company, okay? The kid says,
get out of here before my Gramps catches you.
You better get out of here before my Gramps catches you.
Go on home, kid.
You
He
got
says,
no
go on
right
home,
here.
kid.
I said beat it.
You
He
can't
says, I
put
said
that
beat
here.
it. The kid shoves down the guy's sign. Then the guy shoves the kid. Then the dog attacks the guy. And the guy falls down a well.
Aslan, I'm lowering a branch down to you. Grab it.
He's lowering a branch down to him.
I can't see. Reach for it. I got it. All right, now hang on. Now look, Hazlitt, I can't pull you out with this branch. It's dead wood and it'll break if I try to. You know where to get a rope, son?
Yeah.
Well, go ahead. Get me out of here. It's freezing cold. All right, hang on. Hang
No,
on.
he's
We're
having
gonna
a
get you out
problem. It's
somehow.
freezing cold
you have a
down
pencil
there.
and a piece of paper?
Pencil and paper. Yeah, in my inside pocket. Thunder! You're getting run! Just hang on. Thunder! We're sending for help. It's freezing cold. Hurry up,
So he's
son.
going to write a note.
Here, Lassie, take
And-
it to Gramps.
He's going to put it in the dog's mouth. Now, the dog is somehow going to run all the way to Gramps with a note in his mouth. I don't know if you've ever seen a dog run before.
Get me out of here!
It's the thing about dogs' mouths when they run. because dogs can't self-regulate their temperature through sweating like humans can. So one of the ways that they self-regulate their temperature is by panting really hard, and it makes their mouth all frothy and spitty. There's a lot of spit and froth. This dog has no spit and froth. He just wandered up with the note. And now here comes Grandpa.
Hey, read it. I ain't got no specs with me.
Gramps, man and well, bring rope. Jeff. That's Jeff's writing, all right. Nobody else spells like that. Do you need me?
No, I don't need you. Come on, girl.
Gramps got the rope. Here we go.
Get me out of here. We're waiting for a rope.
Okay, so now he's been saved.
They're here!
Get my shotgun.
Yeah? You'll do nothing of the sort. You sit back there, and you sit down before you have a stroke. Call her back.
Okay, so they saved him, but we're fast forwarding here to a point where Grandpa says to get his shotgun.
I'm Ellen Miller. Won't you come in?
And as Hazlitt's attorney. But more important, I wanted to give you the deed and the quitclaim Miss Martin signed today. You remember when we were hauling him out? I asked you to hang onto the rope for a moment and went over to the well?
Yeah.
Well, that's when I made the deal to get your half-acre back. Either that or another dunking.
Young fella?
So he threatened to throw the guy back in the well,
Well, thank
or he'd get the quitclaim deed on the well. So in just like 5 minutes of TV, right? This kid shoves the sign, like telling the guy to get out of here. Which, by the way, I don't understand why you're teaching kids this nonsense in its own right. But then this guy attacked the kid. The kid was clearly going to attack back, but the dog attacked him. They went in the well. Then that lawyer at the end here, this guy, he threatened to throw the guy back in the well if he didn't sign over this land, right? Grandpa was going to get his shotgun because the lawyer showed up, and somehow, in this day and age, we're supposed to relate to the people that watched this shit growing up, this absolute shitstorm of fucking nonsense. When we talk about boomers, like, this is the shit that boomers watched the entirety of their childhood, right? Timmy's fucking around doing whatever the fuck Timmy wants. He's knocking over signs. He's picking fights with water company guys who's just coming to put the sign up. What is pushing that guy over going to do? Nothing. You know, what you need to do is throw the guy in the well, dunk him a bunch, threaten him to sign a contract under duress, which, by the way, would never hold up in court, and any good lawyer would know that. Grandpa's threatening everybody with a shotgun. It's just jam-packed with terrible life lessons. Absolutely terrible life lessons. And this is the shit that the people right now who are backing Trump would want you to watch, right? This is the crap that they watched growing up and were heavily influenced by, and how they grew up. How they spent their entirety of their formative years watching garbage shit like that, right? And we're supposed to be like, oh, these are obviously sane thinking people, right? These are clearly like just normal old people, right? And the reason I bring up Flipper is because it's the same thing as Lassie, right? Flipper just goes on these little adventures to help everybody. He's got his own personality. He's so smart. He's such a smart. They call him a fish all the time. This shit was huge. This was like one of the biggest TV shows of its time. And you know, when I was a kid, they would play reruns of this shit over and over and over again. Like this crap would be on. And I would watch it even at my young age and be like, this is absolutely ridiculous brainwashing bullshit content, and I would go watch Fraggle Rock instead. Like a true American, okay? Like a true American, I would go watch Fraggle Rock instead, because down a Fraggle Rock, right? You know what I'm talking about? And the reason I bring that up is because we ended up going to Seaquarium, which was Flipper's home, right? Seaquarium was Flipper's home, and people would go to Seaquarium to see him. And Seaquarium is like, you got to think it's the OG SeaWorld, right? I did find out while I was there, it was built in 1955, and it shows every little bit of its age, which Seaquarium Miami, and it shows every little bit of its age. The tanks are absolutely the tanks are absolutely undersized. Like, they're big by human swimming pool standards, but as you can see here, they used to have an orca there, which they don't anymore. But this will give you an idea of like how big the tanks are. This is an orca right here. This is a full-grown orca, right? This is the tank where the orcas would be. They would live in here. We're talking about a mammal that can swim from Hawaii to Washington State. That's a dolphin for scale. This is where the orcas would live. They don't have orcas there anymore. They do not have orcas there anymore. They have some dolphins there. The dolphins that they have there, one of them is 48 years old and is the father of the other dolphins that are there. The dolphins that they have there are born and raised in captivity. My understanding is if they can continue to breed the current dolphins that they have, they can continue to do that. The dolphins that they currently have, it is understood that they would not survive if they were released. So they still have dolphins there. We got to meet some of the dolphins while we were there. And we did find out that that's the reason that they still have dolphins. It's because they were born and raised there. They introduced us to all of them. I think they have 7 dolphins or 6 dolphins, but they're all related. They're like, that's the father. These are the 3 sisters. That's the mother. So maybe it's only 5. I don't know. I thought it was 7, but maybe it's only 5. I don't know. But the dolphins that they have there were born and raised in captivity, so there is no introducing them to the wild in any kind of expectation that they would survive. They probably would just end up dying if they released them. So they have them there, and you get an opportunity to meet them. My understanding is that this place has been through its trials and tribulations, mainly around the fact that, like, I can understand that you could have some dolphins. It seems like they have enough tanks for the dolphins to swim around and do stuff. I don't speak dolphin. I don't know. They seem like they were doing fine. But like I said, the only reason that they seem to have those dolphins is because they were born and raised at Seaquarium. They don't know any other life. And that the expectation would be that if you release them, they'll end up dying. So, it's kind of one of those things. As you can see, at one point in time, they had orcas here, having orcas do orca stuff. When I looked it up online after the fact, I was like, oh, this place has been through some trials and tribulations. And I will say that this place showed its absolute age. I don't know where this part was. This wasn't open. This was not open when I was there, so I don't know where that was. But you can see, like, Seaquarium was doing this type of stuff at some point, where they would do the big, we'll put the tent and cover it up, and then people would fly up drones and try and figure out what's going on. So they've been through probably a lot of intrigue. I really don't know all of the intrigue. Miami Seaquarium over the years, on March 4th, 1980, after 12 years of performances and repeated brutal self-inflicted damage to his head, Hugo died of a brain aneurysm. After his death, no plaque or memorial of any kind was erected. Instead, any and all references to Hugo ended when a crane dumped his remains into the Miami-Dade landfill. Yeah. So I don't know. We ended up going to it. I don't know. It's just like somebody had a YouTube video about going to the Miami Seaquarium. I will admit it. Like, most of the people that work there seem like hella depressed, except for the dolphin handling staff. They seemed very peppy and enthusiastic about what it is that they were doing. Definitely the people working the concessions and stuff like that were like, yep, hi, you want a hot dog? Yeah, okay, here you go. So I don't know. I'm like, do I want to make a video about this? Is this something that I desperately want to highlight to people? I don't know. I don't know. I don't know. I figured I would talk about it a little bit during the stream here and then kind of make up my mind about what it is. There are some exhibits there that just aren't a problem at all. Like the flamingo, this right here is a flamingo exhibit. Although, flamingos smell like bird shit, so if you don't like smelling bird shit, you could have a problem with checking out the flamingos, which somebody did while we were there. They're all, oh, it smells. And you're like, yeah, there's fucking 50 birds taking a dump right there, which doesn't bother me. And they all seemed in good health. Like, there wasn't really anything wrong with them. Flamingos are birds. It's just like keeping chickens, right? Which I do. So, I was definitely like kind of conflicted about this experience. But Vicky brought up the valid point of like, there's probably no other time that Olivia is ever going to be able to meet a dolphin, which we ended up doing that. So I'm sort of conflicted over the, do I promote that as a person? I don't know. We paid for it. So we promoted the company to continue doing it. But I don't know if there's a world that, like, if we don't go, does Seaquarium suddenly stop doing what they're doing? I don't think that's the case. I think they're just going to be there, sort of floundering in business, right? I think they're just going to be there sort of operating and making some money. But I will tell you, it was like, you could obviously tell that this place was a relic of its past, and that there was an echo of like, oh my God, this was one of the most popular places around for a certain period of time. I mean, it was really set up like, massive crowds would be funneling through here and being here. And that was a long time ago, right? So there was that interesting part of it. That type of shit is really interesting to me as a person. To see like the back end of something like that. It's like going into an old, like an old millworks building, right? Like at one point in time, they were pulling in, 5,000 trees a day were coming through here and getting cut up, and then they were getting stacked and packed and doing all of that stuff. Like it's like, oh my God, at some point there was this crazy amount of important manufacturing here, and then, long since gone. Like going to that kind of stuff to me is like, whoa, look at this. Oh, that's crazy. Like, look at this. In 1896, they used to pull the logs with this crazy thing, like looking at that old human relic stuff that is of sort of modern day history like that is really interesting to me. The architecture side of it is interesting. And it was very weird to see something that was so obviously like a gigantic cash cow for whoever initially set up and ran that business, right? And then just to see it like in its current state. It's a matter of health for the animals. Dolphins okay and happy as far as you could see. I mean, as far as I could tell, the dolphins seemed content with what they were doing. The dolphin, like I said, like the dolphin team, the people working with the dolphins were very enthusiastic. They were very like engaged. It seemed like this is what they really, really, really want to be doing and taking care of them. They seemed in really good health. Their fins seemed well. Their eyes seemed clear. They weren't exuding any kind of weird behavior other than just playing and getting fed. And there definitely were parts that were like, well, we'll see if she wants to come over here. If she doesn't, then we'll wait, and everybody there was sort of like had the joke was like, well, everything's on dolphin time. Like if they want to come and hang out, then you guys will be able to meet them. If they don't want to come over here, we're not doing anything to try and, we'll see if they want to come over here, if they want to play or whatever. If they're in a bad mood, then we're just like, sorry guys, you don't get to meet a dolphin today. So there was an aspect of that. I don't know shit about taking care of dolphins in captivity. I don't know, but it seemed like those people were all very engaged. But like all of the peripheral people working at the Seaquarium, right, were like, oh, hey, you want to buy a sticker or something? Okay. But then like the higher up people were far more like, they had a level of outreach like, hey guys, how's everything going? And just really sort of enthusiastic about their job, which is a telltale sign to me that like, hey, we're cutting back on staff. We're cutting back on being able to pay the lower tier workers, right? Which is a cancer in any business, If you own a business out there and you are currently paying somebody that works the cash register like $22 an hour, and your idea is like, oh, I guess I'll bring in a $10 an hour person to save money. You are shooting yourself in the dick and balls. Okay. You're not even shooting yourself in the foot. You're shooting your genitals off of the company by doing that. When you cut the bottom of your business, when you cut the bottom of your company, the overwhelming, the tsunami of failure that is headed your way is going to butt fuck you into oblivion. And it's also one of the things I wanted to talk a little bit about today is that automation is really, 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 really there's it's not the Better Business Bureau, it's the CBO or whatever. They released their current numbers on automation replacing people in the workforce, and that shit is really bothering me at this point. The amount of people that are getting fired and just sent packing because they're being replaced by robots and computer algorithms and shit. But yeah, I mean, overall the experience was good because Olivia got to see some rays. They have some rays in what would be considered quite a large tank, for a total of 8 rays. It's quite a large circle of water, and then you're able to put your hand down in the water, and as they swim by, you can pet them. Now, do I think this is the greatest setup for rays to exist? There's a side of me that says, oh man, that's not good for the rays. But there's also a side of me that is like, I know a ton of aquarium keepers across the country that have like 1,200 gallon tanks with rays in them. That's way worse than this setup. This setup had one of the coolest filtration systems I've ever seen. I was very intrigued. The level of filtration that they had on the ray system there. I really liked the filtration system. It was a 3-tiered system. Nobody else would really notice this if they were there. But they had a 3-tiered system that they were operating that I thought was really nice. They had an external one that was operating through an automatic feature. They had a pool filter. They had a pool type filter running, and then they also had like this huge biological cistern that they were running through. And there was probably other stuff included in that system that I didn't notice because a lot of it's hidden because they don't want people to see it. But having noticed that system, I was like, well, somebody gives a shit about these rays, and they're probably going to be fine. And it was also like the rays would swim by, and if they wanted to come up and touch somebody's hand or whatever, they'd come up and touch somebody's hand. Olivia just about shit her pants over the rays, and we kept having to go back so that she could try to pet the rays as they went by. I'm telling you, she hasn't stopped talking about it. We were somewhere, and there was a stingray for sale, like a squishy stingray for sale. She desperately wants a stingray. I told her she's not getting a stingray. It's not happening. I'm not doing that. But one of the projects I am doing is I finally got the go-ahead to build the koi pond system out here. So over the next year or whatever, I'll be getting to put in a pond, which will be good. I finally got the okay to do that. So it'll be coming at some point. I don't know when. Let me read the chat. I hated the 70s. Me too. Lassie needed thumbs because Timmy was a klutz. That's true. I would watch Flipper and Lassie back to back as a kid. Yeah, and it's funny when you go back and watch that stuff and you realize that, like, just how bad the content was. Wells were the landmines of the 50s. Yeah, I suppose so. I think landmines were the landmines of the 50s. I think wells were the quicksand of the 50s. Mickham is here saying hello. Oh, nice tie-in. And the Andy Griffith in there too. Yep, Andy Griffith's just fucking go back and watch those episodes and realize like what people grew up watching. Sadly, Flipper never went to find Gilligan. Would have saved us a hell of a lot of bad TV had he done so. You know what was weird? I heard that the professor was a wasn't the professor in the Navy? Because I think this guy just recently died. Yes, Russell Johnson, the actor who played the professor on Gilligan's Island, served in the United States Army Air Forces during World War II. He was a bombardier in a B-25 Mitchell bombers and through 44 combat missions in the Pacific Theater. He was shot down over the Philippines and received a Purple Heart for his injuries. That's right. The professor was actually he was actually shot down and stranded in the Philippines, which is crazy. But he had never mentioned it, apparently. Apparently no one had ever mentioned that he never mentioned he had received a Purple Heart and everything for some reason. Although he was just a bombardier, and my grandpa was a captain in World War II, so... But he did fly over the Pacific, which is weird. My grandpa might have flown him at some point. Okay, I'm not believing that he never mentioned it to the crew. I'm not believing it because he served from 42 to 57. That is a long part of your life to have been. Huh. Yeah. I don't know why he would have never mentioned that to anybody. I don't believe it. Don't forget Little House on the Prairie, Bonanza, and Gunsmoke. Yeah, those are all different genre, though. So the genre I was specifically talking about in American culture for the boomers to have watched when they were kids was the anthropomorphification of animal cohorts, I guess, or the partnership between person and animal. Those lines got really blurred by all of those TV shows, right? That like a dolphin it's like your human buddy, but he's just a fish, right? Yeah. Have you seen any of the videos of orcas and dolphins in closed down, almost abandoned aquariums? Yes, I have seen that, and that's horrible. Yeah. It's worse than the parameters of a small betta tank. Glad they are no more. Yeah, that's the bigger thing is that like it's not so much on the orca side of things. It's like you don't have a tank. There just isn't a tank that's big enough. There isn't a tank that's big enough for their intellect, for their physical abilities, for all of the things that need to be taken into account for the orcas. I'm not a dolphin. I don't speak dolphin. I don't know what's going on with dolphins. But I do know that if the killer whales or the orcas, whatever you want to call them, are the sort of intelligent, demure, sort of level of intelligence that's much closer to having a consciousness like humans, dolphins seem to be more Florida man on meth, of the animal kingdom. So maybe there are, I was talking to Olivia when we were at Seaquarium that it was like, there's a possibility that there are some dolphins that are just like, yeah, fuck going out there and swimming around and shit. These people bring me free food, and I just get to hang out here. Whether I know any of that's true or not, I don't. And I don't care to argue it with anybody because it is what it is. Like I said, I have my thoughts about it, but, I don't know if I'm willing to make a big grandstand or argue with the PETA people or argue with the vegans or argue with the MAGA freaks from Oklahoma who've never even left their shitty Dust Bowl town in their life. I don't know that I'm willing to do all of that arguing. Especially considering, like, I've already taken on the arguing about things that directly affect humans. I think is probably more pertinent at this point than anything else. So, yeah, we went and we did it, and we got bit by a lot of bugs because we decided that we were going to get some pizza, and the place where we went to get pizza, you had to sit outside by some bushes. And we all got bit up by like no-see-ums and shit. I still have lots of bug bites from that one time I got bit by a bunch of bugs. I don't know when the one time was, but there was one time on the trip that I got bit by a bunch of bugs. I got a bunch of bug bites. Woke up the next morning like, what the fuck? What are all these bug bites? And then after that, like, you can see I got little bug bites right here that are dying down now that I'm back home. One of the things that Vicky and I took into account with this trip, and I think wholeheartedly the biggest reason that we even bothered Olivia and I to go on this trip, the whole idea of going on this trip was, is there ever going to be a time that we are going to be in Florida? And in the past, I've been invited to go to certain conventions. I've been invited to go to certain fish farms. I've been invited to go to certain things, and I've never felt the need to spend the money to go to Florida. I'm going to go find out what that was. Fucking bombs over Baghdad. What the fuck was that? I'm going to open up the green room because apparently today we're getting interrupted. So if anybody wants to join in the green room. I don't know what the fuck that was. It was a huge explosion. And I didn't see any explosion. I went out, I looked. I didn't see any explosion, and I saw some of my neighbors standing out there going, the fuck was that? And I'm like, I don't know what that was. They're like, I don't know either. I'm like, okay. What's up, dude? Hello? Oh, you're muted. Okay. I don't know. There was a large explosion. There are multiple native reservations around here that sell fireworks regardless of the legality of it or not. So maybe it was just some teenagers lighting off some fireworks. I don't know. I didn't see anything on fire or anything. Mickham says 15 years during that era, a lot of things probably changed after World War II. Yeah, it's probably true. It's probably true, but I was saying that like with that professor guy, I think it was weird the timeline of his so he was in the Navy from 1942 to 1957, and then Gilligan's Island started airing in 1964. So I mean, it's like only a couple years after he got out of the Navy. I find it odd that anybody would be like, "Oh, he never talked about having been in the Navy or anything." I don't. That's just bizarre to me. Hey, are you here?
I think so.
Or is it me?
No, I'm here.
Oh, fuck. What's up, dude? What are you doing?
You know, listening from afar. What are you doing?
Are you on a
You're
mountain?
watching.
Did you hear any explosion?
I did not hear your explosion, but I am indeed on a mountain, yes.
It was one of those explosions that sort of shook the building kind of thing, you know? Like you feel the air pressure
that's always-
change. Like, oh, I don't know what that was, though. But my neighbor, one of my neighbors apparently starts wars with people because somebody blows up his mailbox. I would say from time to time is, I guess, a way to describe it.
Okay. Popular kind of guy then, huh?
It's a popular guy. They're very weird people.
Oh, well. Is this the non-participating scary flag guy, or is this another random neighbor?
It's a different neighbor. They're very weird. They're very weird people. I don't know how to describe them without accidentally like giving
Outing
them
them or
away.
Yeah.
But they're moving to Arizona, so I don't know.
Well, they found their place. That's good.
Yeah, Arizona seems to be their people, I guess is a way to describe it.
That's an excellent description.
Yeah, so I don't know. There was an explosion, and I was like, what the fuck was that? And nobody seemed immediately alarmed, so it must have just been a firework again. Again. Which, like I said,
Still
it's pretty
small.
big around here. We have reservations near here.
Yeah. I heard a lot of gunfire New Year's Eve, or not New Year's Eve, 4th of July night, but it's always just, you know, standard operating procedure around here. So, whatever.
Lady Guinevere, maybe they're blowing up their own mailbox. Nope, it is. We've filmed it's not them. We have video evidence of the first guy time it happened. And that was, and the police got involved. And as far as I know, he went to jail for a while. But he might be out by now. And he might be back blowing up the guy's mailbox again. I don't know. But anyhow, like the whole reason that we wanted to go on this trip, like I was saying, Vicky and I talked about it, and it was like, she's like, yeah, every time you had an opportunity to go to Florida, you sort of turned it down. I'm like, yeah, I don't have any interest in going to Florida. I mean, it's like I said, there's lots of superficial areas. It's the cocaine capital of the world. A Florida man lives there. It's 100 degrees. The humidity is through the roof. Trump lives there and likes it. You know what? There's a lot of like old retired MAGA people. Like there's nothing in Florida that's like, oh my God, I really want to go there. There's really no appeal to Florida to me. And I can say that from having traveled Florida for the last better part of 2 weeks. It's just there's no appeal there. There's just nothing about it that I'm like, oh my God, Yeah, Florida's rad, you know, because you go from a 300-foot mega yacht with a house that's bigger than 40 houses, and then you drive 10 blocks, and there's toothless people that haven't been to the doctor in 30 years. Not because they don't want to go to the doctor, it's because they can't go to the doctor, you know, that kind of shit. And you're like, what the fuck is going on here? And, you know, it's like whenever anybody brings up something positive about Florida, they're like, your gas is so much more expensive in Washington. And I'm like, motherfucker, if I was going to drive from Miami to Fort Lauderdale, the toll was going to be $7.64 to drive from Miami to Fort Lauderdale, which I believe is like, oh, let's look it up. Miami Beach to Fort Lauderdale. $31 miles. It's 31 miles, and the tolls were going to be $7.84. I don't know what the tolls are right now. Right now, it's giving me a path to go around, and it's going to take 61 minutes to go 31 miles. And it's not telling me how much the tolls are. This route has a highway. There are tolls, but the tolls won't pop up. They pop up on my phone because I have that thing added into my phone where it'll tell you how much the tolls are. This route has tolls. How much are the tolls? It won't tell me how much the tolls are right now. But the idea is that like, oh, look at me. I save money on my gas because Ron DeSantis is you know, he drops the gas tax. So, you know, and then they just increase the tolls so that you're paying more in tolls than I am paying in gas. Does that make sense? So you're going to be like, oh, the gas in fucking Florida is only $2.89 a gallon. I'm like, I filled up this morning and the gas went way up since I've been gone. And it was $3.59 a gallon. So you're looking at like 60 cents a gallon. If I'm going to drive from Miami to Fort Lauderdale, right? Even if I'm only getting 15 miles to the gallon, right? That's only $1 difference in gas price, but I have to pay $7.64 in tolls, right? So is it better to live in Florida because the gas prices are lower? Some idiot is going to come and tell me, well, there's no tolls in my boat. Yeah, there aren't any tolls on your boat, but a lot of the boat launches and boat access areas there are privately owned. Whereas in Washington, there's public places to put your boat in just about everywhere. And on top of it, you're going to have to pay for your boat maintenance fees. And I don't have a boat. And as we know, boat is just an acronym for bust out another 1,000. So they're just, Florida has nothing for me. I don't like it. I didn't like it. I don't want to go back. But did I have a good time? Yes, because I'm going to have a good time whether you like it or not. But the whole reason that we went is because Olivia, our beautiful 6.5-year-old daughter, who announced to every single person at Universal that she's 6.5 years old, is a huge Harry Potter fan. And she loves Harry Potter. She loves wizard stuff. It is she loves it to death. And as you guys know, when we went to Disneyland for her 5th birthday, there is no Harry Potter stuff at Disneyland. You have to go to Universal Studios in order to do the Harry Potter stuff. Now, there is a Universal Studios in California. We didn't go to it because we went to Disneyland. You have to go back and find the episodes of me talking about having gone to Disneyland if you want to get the breakdown there. The one thing I do wish my state would do, Florida did, was free so-called property tax. I am sure they are getting somewhere from you in the fine print. So in Washington State, we have gas tax, sales tax, and property tax. We don't have income tax. There's no income tax in Washington State. So yes, gas taxes exist, property taxes exist, and sales tax exists, but we don't have income tax. So more or less, when you're trying to figure out like which state in the United States you would want to move to, those are the 4 things that you would probably want to consider outside of school districts, outside of property cost in its own right, and the area that you want to live in, you know, work you're going to do, blah, 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 all those things. But if you are concerned about taxes, those are the 4 legs of the tax chair that you would really want to take into consideration. Washington State doesn't have any income tax. Does Florida? I forget if Florida has an income tax. I forget the list of the states in the union that have none. Florida has no individual state income tax. This applies to both earned income and unearned income, such as capital gains from investments. Florida is one of 9 states that don't have a state income tax. However, Florida does have a 5.5% corporate income tax on businesses that operate in the state. Corporations doing business in Florida must file a corporate income tax return, even if they don't owe taxes, unless they are exempt. There's a $50,000 exemption that can be subtracted from a business Florida corporate income to arrive at a taxable total. Sales tax, property tax, tourism revenue, other taxes and fees. Do 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 do. Yeah, Washington has a capital gains tax that is levied on capital gains exceeding a certain threshold. So if you make over $250,000 in capital gains, you get a 7% tax in Washington. So that's a slight difference. B&O tax. Businesses operating in Washington are subject to this tax based on their gross receipts. Rates vary by industry. The state gas tax rate is currently 55.4 cents per gallon in Washington, which we have one of the highest gas taxes in Washington State. I mean, if you want to avoid it, just go to a reservation to buy your gas because they don't have to charge you for it. Where is ours? Washington has an average effective property tax rate of 0.76, and Florida's was 0.79, I think. Yep. Florida's property tax rate is 0.79% of a home's assessed value. Washington's is 0.76. Cities and countries can impose additional sales tax. Washington State has a state sales tax rate of 6.5%. Florida's is... Where did it go? It was on here. Oh, Florida's is actually 0.82% property tax for 2025. I was looking at the 2023. Yeah, but anyhow, the whole reason that we went was to go to Universal with Olivia. So we had 2-day passes to go to Universal Florida. And it turns out that Universal Florida has a so Universal has a brand new whole park, and it's called Epic, and it just opened a month and a half ago. Okay, so they have 4. They actually have 4 parks. Universal Studios has 4 parks. Okay. And this is hella confusing to any old person like me or any medium-aged person like most of you, or even any young person. So they have 4 different parks. Okay. They have Universal Studios and Islands of Adventure, which are really close to each other. These 2 are really close, and Volcano Bay is also close. These 3. Okay, here we go. Fuck. Let me start over. I'm not selling anybody to go to Universal. Go there if you want. I don't give a fuck what you do or don't do. I'm just explaining why we do doobie-doo. You know what I'm saying? Universal Studios has the Wizarding World of Harry Potter and Diagon Alley and Transformers The Ride 3D and some other stuff. Universal Lands of Adventure is featuring the Wizarding World of Harry Potter. Hogsmeade. That's confusing. I don't know what Hogsmeade is. I know we went to it. I don't know what the fuck was going on. We went on a train. Hold on, let me find out what's going on. Somebody out here. Somebody out here again. Are you alright? Is that you exploding? You need me to help you go get Olivia?
When I get to the car, I'm fine. But you want to ride along?
Well, I'm still streaming. Okay. Apparently Vicky threw out her back, so she's like gimping around. I didn't mention it earlier, but that's what's going on. She yelled at me to like come help her get stuff out of her car, and she's just heading to go pick up Olivia from superhero training camp, brought to you by Girl Scouts. Anyhow, the Universal Islands of Adventure has the Harry Potter, Wizarding World of Harry Potter, and Hogsmeade. This areas to explore. You can't just have a website anymore. You can't just have a website. So if you go to the Wizarding Worlds of Harry Potter, you get to go to the castle. This is apparently parts of the set, apparently. One of the guys there was like, yeah, this is the actual castle that they built for shooting with. And then apparently they brought it there and put it up. Whether he's full of shit or not, I don't know, but that's what he was telling me. You can go on this ride, but Olivia's too short to go on this ride, so you can't go on this ride because Olivia's too short, okay? Olivia will get mad, if you go on this ride without her, because she'd be too short. It's you get on these motorcycle and a sidecar, and then you go around the loop-de-loops. You get it. You get to go into the castle, and you get to walk around in the castle. Olivia is also too short for this ride. You get to go on the train. The train takes you back and forth to the different parks, the Harry Potter parks. Olivia is tall enough for this ride, and we went on it multiple times. I don't know. Back and forth, something like that. I don't know. We went on it. But yeah, we didn't get to go on this one. We were about to go on the flight of the Hippogriff, and then there was lightning, and they wouldn't let us go on the flight of the Hippogriff. Or we went on it. Did we go on this one? I might have JFK brainworms. Who knows? Or RFK. I might have brainworms. Maybe we did go on this one. I don't know. We went on a bunch of rides. It was fine. Olivia was too short for a bunch of them, but we went on a bunch of them, and it was fine. Ain't nobody mad. The dining here was a fucking disaster. I don't know. Your results may vary, but not good at the old park. And I'll get to why I was told that was the case. This park was great. You got to run around. You got to go in the castle. It was great. There's just a ton of interactive stuff for kids. Dr. Seuss Land. What the fuck, load? Dr. Seuss Land was awesome. Olivia loved Dr. Seuss Land. Added bonus. For Olivia. She loved Dr. Seuss Land. Going on these rides, went on those rides. None of them are scary. We went on the carousel, which is her favorite thing. Every time she sees a carousel, we have to go on it. We did not eat here, so I don't know, other than like candy, I think. Port of Entry was cool. The Lost Continent was cool. We spent a lot of time in the Lost Continent, believe it or not. Let's see, what else? What else was here? Superhero Island was fucking stupid, and we did not spend a lot of time there. Jurassic Park was... I mean, it was like dinosaurs and stuff. You know? Olivia was not like super enthused with the Jurassic Park stuff, so we kind of just walked around and checked out stuff, and we're like, okay, and we had to go back to wizarding stuff. Did not go to the region of Kong. Didn't go to the Skull Island. Didn't make it there. You know, we had the 6-year-old with the tiny feet, and did not make it there. Toon Lagoon was cool. The port of entry is just where you come in, so everybody got to go there, because that's how you get in the in hole. Port of entry was actually kind of cool, just of like how it was designed. It's a real kind of just like goofy fun area, and you just kind of walk around and you know, there's like a lot of shops and things to eat and stuff and whatever. Merchandising's everywhere. You can't stay away from it. Like, you just can't stay away from it. Oops, I went too far. There we go. So Universal Studios, Islands of Adventure, very cool. Very cool. Good times. If you went to these 3 parks, this is at least 3 days of shit to do. At least. I don't know how a human would be able to go to these places for longer than 3 days, 4 days, 5 days. I mean, it would wear on you quite a bit, honestly. I think just as a person, it would wear on you, I think. But I mean, I would say that, like, if you planned 3 days at these 3 parks, You would have plenty of stuff to do. And plenty of stuff to see, and plenty of things to go to, and plenty of things to be involved in. Overall, I would give Universal a slightly higher score than Disney because of the interactive nature of Universal versus Disney. Universal has capitalized on the you are waiting in line. You're waiting in line at Disney. You're waiting in line at Universal. And it is fundamentally a different experience to be waiting in line at Universal than waiting in line at Disney. Waiting in line at Disney is interesting from the fact of their ability to do crowd control, essentially, like herding cattle, right? Herding the people is interesting, how Disney is able to do it. Universal has the same kind of line management, less people managing the lines, and more things managing the lines. Like, as you go through the lines in Universal, like, you go into areas where things are happening, if that makes sense. Like, at Universal, you would go in and go around a corner, and then there's, like, something's happening in this room as you wait in the line. And then you would leave that room in the line. You're still in line. You would leave that room and then go into another room, and something is happening in there. Whereas in Disney, it's like you're just in another room, right? And nothing is really happening in that room per se. Whereas Universal, it's like as you move around and things, there are things for you to do. Like even just like the Harry Potter experience of the kids get these wands. It's obviously a way for them to make money. You could either sell a $20 plastic wand that has some spray paint on it or whatever, or you could sell a $70 wand that has a tracking chip in it, a battery, RFID code, Bluetooth connectivity to an app, and the ability to activate certain things as you go around the park. There's two options there. Universal picked the latter as opposed to the former. As you cruise around with your Harry Potter wand, you find these little placards on the ground, and they have a spell on it and the direction to cast it and how to wiggle your wand around in the specific spell to make a window open up or smoke come out of a thing or something, right? Like something happens, and that's spread out all around the Harry Potter exhibits, whatever you want to call them, the Harry Potter areas. So the kids are always having, like, they're looking out, they're trying to figure out, they're looking around. Oh, there's one over there. Let's go over there. Like, there's never a point where the kids are literally just like, well, fuck, I'm bored, you know? That didn't happen. That really didn't happen except for when Olivia got, like, way too tired. The I'm bored thing, you know, didn't come up. And it's because they're constantly looking for, like, the next part of the thing. Like, when's the next spell coming up? Is there a ride over here? You know, and even when you're waiting in line, it's like, well, what's the next thing going to be around the corner? That was vastly different at Universal versus Disney. And I think that's a huge selling point in my mind, because you do spend a lot of time in line, and especially at Disney. And I think if people would remember, my sort of like recounting the Disney experience from, let's see, a year and a half ago, our biggest problem was every single place we went to at Disney, there was a line. You were absolutely waiting in line all the time. I mean, it was the majority of what you did there was go from point A to point B, from a line to another line. That just can't be everybody's experience and have any kind of expectation that people are having a good time. You know, like, it's just not, like, people don't. Oh, whoops, I deleted the wrong one. I did it again. Is there a way to undo that? I fucking deleted my camera again. How does it get down there to delete the camera?
Bad knack.
I don't know. The thing, like, it pops to the bottom and then it deletes the camera. That's so funny. Oh, we did it again, guys. Is there a way to, like, undo? Rebecca, what's the undo button? Is it like F7 or something?
I don't remember. I'm sorry.
Yeah, I don't remember either.
I don't. You are skilled. I'll give you that. All right, let's see if we can find it here. And I don't know that it works for actual commands along those lines.
Hold on.
I think it's just the...
Let's see. I wonder if I go... Yeah, I can go here. And then here's what I do. Hold on.
Do what you do.
Copy. Then we go back here. Oh, whoops. Paste. There we go.
Now there's 24 of you.
I can just copy the source from back there.
You found yourself.
Oh, we gotta fix it though. The perspective's all crazy.
We're still looking at a black screen. So, oh, there you are.
No, trust me.
We found it. We found the yellow arrow. We haven't seen that in a while.
The yellow arrow's lurking. It's always lurking. Always.
Been absent of late. Like an old friend let out of the basement.
There, let me go like that. Now we have to just move this all the way to the bottom.
Fine view of the ceiling.
Shit, where'd it go? There it is. Excuse me.
I should say.
We lost it again. Oh, there it is. Okay. And just put it all the way down at the bottom, and then we won't accidentally click on it again. Until next week.
Next time. Right, exactly.
Let's see. Okay. All I was trying to do was just like fix this window while talking. There.
Multitasking, not a Monday thing, apparently.
Well, I was like, oh, that window thing, it's all long. The picture is all long, and it's not making a lot of sense. Anyhow, so back to our Universal talk here. The biggest thing with like Disneyland is that like you get fucked into waiting in line so much. And Universal has a lot of lines too. Now, admittedly, I think we were at Universal when there was less people. Like, the volume of business was lower than when we were at Disneyland. And typically they rate that on a scale of 1 through 10. But 1 is sort of, they're just closed, right? So one's kind of just out the window. So one just like never shows up. The lowest I've ever seen is a 3. And the highest I've ever seen is just a pure 10, right? So when we went to Disney, it was supposed to be in the 5 to 7 range of busyness, right? Although the proximity to the end of COVID meant that, excuse me, I'm getting all phlegmy for some reason here. That time of year was supposed to be between a 5 and a 7, but people surmised that because of the proximity to the end of COVID and the opening up after COVID, that the parks were way more busy because of that, right? Because of that feature, right? As opposed to anything else. So they were like, yeah, in the coming years, if you go to Disney in November again, it should be in the 5 to 7 range, depending on what week or weekend you're there. And I'm like, well, that doesn't help because it was just a clusterfuck when we were there of waiting in line. And they're like, yeah, okay. One of the downsides with all these parks is that, like, this shit that is completely out of your control always ends up in the park's favor because, like, they're not going to issue a refund. They're not going to offer you a credit. They're not going to give you any discounts. You know, like I said, we had the lightning situation. That happened multiple times. All the rides get shut down because lightning is within a 5-mile radius. And then you go like, hey, well, what kind of compensation do we get? Because all of the rides are closed and we're going to fly back to Washington. And they go like, well, we can't control the weather. And I go, I can't control the weather either. Do you think it was me? Do you think I controlled the weather into creating fucking lightning? Do you think that was me? You know? So it's one of those things where it always lands in the favor of the business, right? Like no matter what, because they'll always just relate to the like, well, we can't do anything about the weather. I'm sorry, right? You know, like sorry's not helping a 2-hour wait in line, you know, because the day is just burning up. The calories are burning out of the child. People are getting bored, you know, but either way, it seemed to be, like I said, much better managed at Universal, but it might have been just like a slower season while we were there. But I just think it was much better handled at Universal compared to Disney. The other place to go is the Epic Universe. Okay, this is a single park that has all this stuff in it. It has the How to Train Your Dragon. It has the Harry Potter fucking fart McPoop, whatever it's called. Epic Universe. What? If I go to park details and it sends me to this, like, this is annoying. Oh, here we go. So at the Epic Universe, they have the Wizarding World of Harry Potter, which this is all. You're like in France, right? Like it's all the creatures, Newt Scamander and his Fantastic Beasts. This whole thing is set up for the Fantastic Beasts, which is sort of upsetting because I've recently heard that the rest of the movies in the Fantastic Beasts were essentially canceled. So it's a sort of fingers crossed that they don't just leave it as a cliffhanger with only 3 of the movies out. But I don't know. I don't make decisions for these giant companies, so you know it's not up to me. It's just whether I get to watch it or not. But this is the Fantastic Beasts. It was really cool. Although I will admit, there was some fucking bullshit with the wands. Some of the wands you can only get here. So that created a cranky shitstorm of, well, I want that wand now. I don't want this one anymore. So I would recommend, if you were going to go to all 4 of these parks, like we went to 3 out of the 4, I would recommend to go to Epic Universe first, because there's a bunch of exclusive shit here that won't be at the other parks. And that was, I don't know how you're supposed to know any of this stuff until after the fact, but that's maybe somebody out there will watch this and be like, oh shit. But you go through these portals in Epic Universe to go to these areas, and they are kind of confusing because the portals all like look the same. They're like a tunnel, but they have these like subtle differences to them. But when you're there in person, it just looks like another portal. So it gets kind of confusing just as a human. Like when you see it illustrated on here, you're like, yeah, obviously these are different, right? I will tell you in person, they don't look all that different. Like you really have to be like, which one are we at? Huh. Oh, there's a little Super Mario Brothers, a little Super Mario at the top. Okay, I guess it's Super Mario Brothers. But they have 5 different areas at the Epic Park. Every single one of them were pretty cool. The How to Train Your Dragon one, very cool, very unique. The Harry Potter one, very cool, very unique. The Dark Universe one, very cool, very unique. The Celestial Park area is sort of like, just sort of encompasses like all of the kind of crap that you're doing there, and is very nice. Whoever designed this park, it shows that 20 years or however many years of innovation have happened since the last park was built. And the whole park shows it. This whole park shows whatever the fuck they're doing, they have innovated. Now, I will say, whoever designed Super Nintendo World is on a whole nother fucking level compared to any of that. Whoever designed this park is likely a graduate of Hogwarts, because it is some fucking absurd wizard shit that they have done with this park. I will tell you, it looks like this in person. Like, it looks like Super Mario World. You get a little watch. Wristband watch, and you go around and bonk all of the question mark boxes. You punch them up like Mario. All of the star boxes, all of the stuff interact with the watch. You get points for running around and punching all of the boxes or the bricks or whatever. Like, in order to get, there's a ride over here. I don't know what it's called. There's a ride over here where you have to have enough points and coins and keys in order to ride the ride. So, like, whatever person designed this park was like, hey, your kid needs to go run around and do things in order to get to go on to the ride, which is just a fucking brain blast of, oh my God, they're utilizing the technology. They're utilizing not being a brain dead moron and combining that into, oh, all of these kids are going to be here. The kids are just going to want to go on the ride. They don't want to walk around and experience all of the landscape, whatever you want to call it, the aquascape. They don't want to experience the aquascape. They don't want to build the aquascape. They don't want to do any of that shit. They want to walk up to it, look at it for 4 seconds, and then watch a Minecraft video, right? I will say, at no point in time did Olivia want to go somewhere else. Did she want to do something else? Did she want to watch a YouTube video? Did she... there was a point where there's a popcorn stand over here. She was like, can I get a popcorn? Like, hell yeah, you can get a popcorn. Here you go. We got popcorn. And then she's like, all right, I got to run around and find more stars, right? And all of the other kids here were like doing the same thing. They were all running around, doing stuff, interacting with the whole space, as opposed to just waiting in line to go onto a ride. That, by the way, you could have the best ride in the world. It still is only going to last 120 seconds, which when you add that up, that's only 2 minutes, boys. Okay? So when you're trying to pad your stats and say that you're lasting 120 seconds, that's still only 2 minutes. Okay? Same kind of deal, right? The ladies know what I'm talking about. Which is why our normal sponsor is the ladies vibrator, which we're not going to do it today. I'm tired. I'm not doing it today. We did a sponsor earlier today of can you believe I bought $39 sunscreen? But this Super Nintendo world is off the chain. If you're going to Universal and you have a kid, you have to go to Super Nintendo World. This is where you are going to spend 5 hours here, right? Like, you're going to have to go somewhere else. This is worth it. This is worth going to Florida to do all this stuff. Then they have there's a Donkey Kong portion of it. I don't know how to get to did it say there was? Where was it? Holy shit, I don't even know what's happening. Now we're playing a video. Oh, this is the intro to... Yeah, there's Donkey Kong Country, and I don't know how to get... Yeah, that's right. I was thinking this in my head. I can't get to the Donkey Kong Country. How do we get to it? There's also the Donkey Kong part, and I don't know why it's not here. Yeah, but here it is. Here's the wear your power-up band and play interactive key challenges. Yeah, so you get all these points and stuff. And like I said, Universal Studios, hands down, crushed it with the interactive shit. I'll admit, $35 for this watch does feel like a highway robbery and you're being extorted. And there probably should be a way for you to get a complimentary one of these things for your kids instead of having to buy it. But if you're held over a barrel and you need to buy the watch, you're probably just going to have to buy the watch. But I would assume that you're going to have a plan to spend some money if you're going to this type of shit, which we had planned that. We knew that we were going to be buying popcorn and wristbands and wands and capes and fucking whatever else goddamn shit was going to happen. She's only going to be 6 once, and that's going to be that. You know what I mean? So I keep clicking the wrong fucking thing. I did it again. Here, it's over here. All right, click this thing. There we go. We knew this. We knew we were going. We knew we were going to spend money. It just is what it is. Like I said before, she's only going to be 6 once. It's the only time she's ever going to be 6. In just a few months, she's going to be 7, and it'll be the only time that she's going to be 7. And you know, blink an eye, and the Gestapo will be on our front porch, and she'll be 8, and that'll be it, because I'll be sent off to a fucking labor camp, and at least I'll have the memory of having spent money at Universal for a Gryffindor cape robe. Yeah, I'll have that memory until they put a bullet in me, you know? I don't even know if... Well, will I be deserving of the bullet? By then, they might be concerned financially about the cost of bullets, so they might just feed me to the gators or whatever, you know? Universal California does the wands, and now they do an interactive wristband for Mario. Oh, okay, yeah. I'm just saying, like, the big difference between the two, Disney and Universal, is that Universal had a level of interactivity that Disney did not have. And I think at a level of consideration that was much different from the Universal aspect to the Disney aspect. Like I said, waiting in line was not an insane level of boredom. like it was at Disney. At Disney, it was like, all right, now I'm walking back and forth past that. There's that same guy. There's that same guy. He's still 8 people ahead of me in line. Got it. You know, he's still, oh, well, there's that guy again. We did use the Express Pass. One of the things that's very concerning to me about the Express Pass situation at Universal, and they might do this at Disney now. I don't know if they did it at the time, or maybe Disney's more covert about it. But at Universal, they take your picture every time you come through the Fast Pass thing to verify that you are the right person with the pass, which really feels like a Palantir level of, we start programming this AI to track people as they move around a park because we take their picture real quick with these like security camera type situation. And it starts to train the AI to figure out how to take a weaponized drone to fly into the face of the people that it's been programmed to explode, which is obviously the next step in the drone warfare technology, as clear as day with the with what's been going on in the Ukraine. In the Ukrainian Russia conflict, in which Russia has invaded a sovereign nation. One of the big revelations of that conflict has brought drone warfare with tiny little drones, which actually I own 2 of them, with C4 type explosive attached to them, and they just fly that drone straight into the person that they want to get rid of. And I honestly think if people have been asking me over the last week, like, what do you think about all this crazy stuff with the big bill and whatnot? And I don't think that there's any other reason why you would want to give, I believe it's $170 billion to a new branch of government. $45 billion for building new immigration detention centers, including family detention facilities. This represents a 265% annual budget increase to ICE's detention budget, which it's probably a likelihood that I'm going to end up in a detention center where I have to work a job that I go negative on my income versus how much they're charging me to be in there. $29.9 billion toward ICE's enforcement and deportation operations, and increasing ICE's annual budget threefold, this is more hiring more jackboot thugs that are covering their faces. They have no badges. They have unmarked vehicles. They're driving around with guns, and they're kidnapping people. So they get another $30 billion towards that. This total earmarks $170 billion U.S. dollars. Alongside this increased spending in immigration enforcement, between 12 million and 17 million people are at risk of losing their health care. Caps the number of immigration judges to 800, despite record backlogs in the immigration court system. So you want people to do it legally, but you've capped the number of immigration judges, right? $46.6 billion into border wall construction, which this right here is enough money to produce all of these drones. They gave $2 billion contract to Palantir for facial identification via AI. A new $10 billion fund reimburses DHS for costs related to safeguarding the borders of the United States to protect against illegal entry of persons or contraband. This funding is nearly 50% of CPB's fiscal year 2024 budget. However, unlike a normal budget, this funding would provide very few guardrails and little guidance to DHS on how the funds must be used. Oh, just a $10 billion slush fund. Yeah, this, highlighting this right here, just this right here. Like highlighting this is the end of the United States as you know it. This is $170 billion to silence dissidents and likely start executing shitloads of Americans. That's what this is for. All this money right here, that's what this money is for. Universal California does the ones now. Oh yeah, that's right. Yeah, and that's the headline. That's the headline that the takeaway, and that's what the headline should be. And to gain a perspective on $170 billion, this is a bigger budget than every other country's total military budget, other than China. Russia's military budget, all of Russia able to invade Ukraine, able to fight people all around the world, able to do all this insane shit. Russia has only got $126 billion in their military budget. India, $75 billion. Saudi Arabia, $74 billion. The UK, $71 billion. So you got to think, the Republican insane people in this country have just given a bigger budget than the combined military force of India and Saudi Arabia, and throw in Israel on top. So if you go the combined military spending of India, Saudi Arabia, and Israel, they've just approved that much funding to ICE.
To use in its own borders.
What's that?
Said to use in our own borders.
Yeah, to use on our public.
Yep.
And that's all the people I'm talking to right now. That's all you people. And by the way, that's you Canadians also, and Mexicans. To somehow think this doesn't turn into we're going to land grab Canada, we're going to land grab Mexico, is 100% like you have to be so deep in your fucking bullshit cult to think that that's not what is going to happen. Yeah. You know, the weirdest thing is that people are like, no, this is for border control. This is for immigration control. This is for that. Okay. So, so the current border crossings have gone from So the encounters at the border have gone from what could only be described as a record high 249,000 in the month of December 2020 23, to the current, which is, oops, I need to find the whole chart. Oh, here you go. Currently, right now, 8,700 border crossings. So we've gone from, they reduced the border crossings by 92.6% by just changing policy, right? And this is the encounters, okay? I want people to understand that, like, the encounters that the Biden administration were having, that didn't mean that those people just stayed here. A lot of them were kicked out. These are the encounters, right? And just through policy action, which, by the way, Biden implemented before he was voted out, right? Before they lost the election. Let me see if I can't find the... see if we can't find this real quick. Oh, that's why I opened up a whole new window. Yeah. Here we go. Oh, that's the worst. That's the worst window ever. I'll fix it. CBP releases March 2025 monthly update. U.S. Customs and Border Protection released operational statistics today for March 2025. March is the second consecutive month which the U.S. border... Here. March is the second consecutive month in which the U.S. Border Patrol averaged the lowest daily nationwide apprehensions in history at approximately 264 per day in March. This is 20% lower than 330 daily nationwide average apprehensions in February, and 94% lower than the 4,488 per day average from March 2024. In March 2025, USBP apprehended 7,181 illegal aliens crossing the southwest border between ports of entry. This constitutes a 14% decrease from February 2025, when they apprehended 8,346 aliens, and a 95% decrease from March 2024. Yeah, they obviously do not want to highlight later in the year, when Biden gave up on passing the border bill, which was an actual bipartisan bill that would have increased, things like judges in order to process these people. But the Trump administration just wants to execute them. That's all they want to do. They want to gather them up and put them in their work camps.
Or send them to other people's work camps in places like Sudan and Rwanda.
Well, it's more expensive to do that than to have them work here, so they're doing it here. Yeah, they're bent on causing a world war. They seem to forget Canada is part of a commonwealth with the UK and Australia. I don't think they forget that. I don't think they forget that. I think they know it. They just don't care. It's not a matter of them, like, forgetting or not knowing, right?
Yeah, people seem to really discount the amount of don't give a fuck that this administration has across the board. it's, yeah.
Oh, I'm telling you, they gave $2 billion to Palantir.
Oh, I know you get it. I'm just constantly amazed by other people that are like, oh, but surely they know. I'm like, you're right. They don't care.
No, it's like, oh, surely they don't know that we're involved with India or whatever, right? Like,
Right.
no, they know. They don't care. It's not important to them. They just completely disregard it.
Yeah.
Yeah, so currently, Palantir is Palantir stock has surged over 600% in 1 year before this week's slide, and that's because they've been receiving money from the Trump administration in order to fund collecting data on, guess what? Us, U.S. citizens, what we're up to, what we're doing, what we look like, how to identify us while flying a drone from 300 feet up in the air, and locate and highly track our location services at all times. So your cell phone in your pocket, they'll just identify that you logged into Facebook 2 minutes ago, clicked on a like on your mom's fucking post or whatever, and that you are actively holding your cell phone, and that drone will identify where you're at and turn you into a pile of red goo on the ground. That's what they're planning to do. And by the way, people go like, well, why would you want to do that? And you go, do you understand the level of terror that would put on every person? Right? That's the whole point, is that once you develop this system, right? Because they want to develop, they're calling it the dome, right? The missile dome.
The Golden Dome.
The Golden Dome, which is the golden shower that Donald Trump loves so much. Strippers pissing on
Star
him.
Wars with Donald Trump peeing on it. Yeah.
Once you develop the Golden Dome, as we've seen from the Ukrainian conflict, right? In the Ukrainian conflict, they sent out those trucks, shipping containers filled with drones. The U.S. government will start doing that. They'll start stationing shipping containers all over the place that are filled with drones that will be able to, click a button, turn them on. They go flying autonomously and go locate their target and eliminate their target. And once they implement that, and 1 out of every 5 people you know are just gone, the next day, how do you think the other 4 people that are left are going to obey? I want you to, it's a thought experiment, to just go sit down and think about it. That, like, what are you going to do as a deterrent to a military system like that? What are you going to do? Donald Trump has highlighted in many, many conversations that you should just shoot the people that are saying the things you don't like.
Yep.
When previous generals confronted him and said, you can't just shoot people, he said, well, why don't you just shoot them in the legs?
And when you wonder how many people he doesn't like, he was quite clear yesterday in about half the population of the country. No big deal.
Yeah. During a White House meeting regarding the protests following George Floyd's death, then President Trump reportedly asked if authorities could shoot protesters in the legs. This was recounted by former Defense Secretary Mark Esper, as quoted right here in the Axios reported in 2022. Journalist and in journalist Michael Bender's book, Frankly, We did win this election, the inside story of how Trump lost. Also documented this account, reporting that Trump repeatedly called for law enforcement to shoot protesters. He has often talked about shooting people crossing the borders, and has said on regular occasions to just shoot people that are coming to try to cross our border, because that's an invasion, so you can just shoot them. This man has no respect for anybody's life. Multiple Democrat fucking representatives in Michigan. Was it Michigan or Minnesota? Ooh, I can't remember exactly. In a targeted attack, 2 Minnesota state legislators and their spouses were shot on Saturday 2 weeks ago, right? June 16th, 3 weeks ago. Vance Butler, a avid MAGA freak show, fucking piece of shit evangelical preacher who would go over and preach in Africa about how people should join his fucking racist bullshit brainwashing religion, decided to fucking shoot people, successfully killing some. American legislators were shot and killed, and Donald Trump, as the president of the United States, didn't even go to the funeral.
Nope. Refused to talk to the governor.
Absolutely disgusting piece of shit fucking president doesn't even go to a funeral of somebody who was fucking murdered in our government by one of his supporters. People go like, oh, well, he means the best. He's going to make America great. Motherfucker can't even attend a goddamn funeral. At what point is this great? Like, at what point is this, like, that's the guy you want representing you? Like, you think he's going to somehow give a shit when you're fucking murdered by his Gestapo that he's funding right now? He's not going to care. He doesn't care. He doesn't give a fuck about human life.
No.
And people go like, "Oh, it's so tired to relate him to compare him to fucking Hitler." Like, this is Hitler shit. He claims that fucking Democrats are subhuman, and when they're actually killed by a fucking MAGA assassin freak, right? He doesn't even go to their funeral because obviously he doesn't care about them as humans, right? Like, if there isn't a bigger parallel for you to fucking understand that this guy is just like Hitler at this point, I don't know what's wrong with your brain if you can't see the parallel there, right? That he talks about how these people are subhuman, these people are fucked. And by the way, I would like all you MAGA freaks to understand that, like, I am 100% willing to fight for your civil rights, your personal rights, your human rights. Yes. Because that's what I believe in fundamentally. I don't believe any of you people are fucking subhuman pieces of shit. I don't believe that. I believe that you're fucking tricked into thinking that you're in a club, right? You're a fan. You're in a fan base, right? And it's unfortunate. Like, the only reason I talk about this shit is because the massive amount of human fucking suffering that is going to happen very soon because of it. You know, I keep getting told to, like, stay in your lane. I don't want to hear about any of this politics shit. And you're like, you're not even paying attention to the fact that representatives on the Republican side kept saying, I don't even want to vote for this bill. I don't want to vote for this bill. And they did. Does that make you fucking question anything? Does that make you wonder, like, what the fuck is going on? right?
Two of them went out of their way to exempt their own states from it and then still voted for it.
Right. You know, like this absolute like fucking cult insane following of a fucking madman is beyond my comprehension at this point. I want MAGA people to figure out for themselves that they are following Hitler 2 Electric Boogaloo, right? That's what is happening. Like, I'm doing everything I can to protect my family, right? But I'm trying to fucking talk to other people and be like, can you see this happening? They are funding another branch of our government or another branch of our military that doesn't have oversight, that doesn't have the longevity of, layers of bureaucracy in order to stop them from doing things that are fucking abject crimes against humanity, right? And it's more money, and it's more money than the entirety of what was it? Saudi Arabia, India, and Israel's fucking entire military budget.
Two of which, by the way, we're quite happily assisting.
I don't give a fuck.
We're more than
we're not talking geopolitics right now. Like,
no, I know.
I don't. Well, yeah, I know, but I'm not getting distracted. Like, look, I'm not getting distracted by the fact that there are pieces of shit in India. Okay, yeah, like I get it, right? Like, the guy that's here is the problem. I don't.
Yeah.
I don't give a fuck about Gaddafi, right? Like, I don't give a fuck about.
Yahoo.
Bibi Netanyahu. Like, I don't care. I don't care. Like, the Middle East, I don't give a fuck. I don't.
Yeah.
Like, I think it's shameful that they're eliminating the Palestinians, and it's fucked that money is going there. But, hey, man, like, you're worried about a dolphin drowning on the other side of the planet when there's a fucking tiger on your front porch. Right? Like, hey, stop getting distracted by this Palestinian fucking problem, because the United States is about to see 10 Palestines worth of death in it. You know? Like, you're worried about a boat sinking somewhere and your house is engulfed in flames. Fuck the boat, okay? Like, I'm not saying that you should be allowed to commit war crimes against Palestine. I'm not saying that. I'm saying, hello, fucking fellow Americans. The Palestine is, we are the Palestinians now. Like, if you think what's happening there is bad, there's 350 million people here. They want to eliminate 100 million of us.
Right.
You know? And it's real. And it's right here. And it's right now. And it's fucking happening. You know? None of this shit is imaginary. I'm not making it up. They passed it. They funded it. And this is what they're doing. Some of the nicest people I know. Some of the nicest people on that I know on the internet that you guys probably don't know, because they're not fish tubers, right? Are abjectly freaking the fuck out, and for good reason. Like one of the hiking guys that I talked to, who has only ever done hiking content, is like completely pivoting his fucking content because he's like, what the fuck is going on? It's like, it's one thing if you want to cut some SNAP benefits. Like, okay, that's horrible, but all right, well, on a local level, we can start figuring that out, you know? Like, if there's hungry people around here, we can figure out how to set up a food library or help get access to the food bank or volunteer at the food bank or whatever. There's local stuff we can do for that. Like, okay, that's a shitty Republican thing that, all right, we've been dealing with it for 50 years now, but, you know, hey, let's locally let's locally figure it out. Okay, we can figure out some of the starving people here. We could even make some videos about it and show other people how to do some community action that would work in your local area, right? If you want to cut school food programs, okay, I guess we could sign up for the PTA and figure out how we're going to do some fundraisers to make sure that the people are You want to start cutting funding to rural hospitals. Like, okay, well, that's fucked, but there's probably some companies that probably want to invest in something or some whatever. Or all right, we can figure something out. Like, okay, I get it. Okay, well, Social Security. Maybe they're gonna start fucking with Social Security. All right, well, we could argue about that, and then we could figure out something that's like a reasonable middle ground. They currently, right now, are funding a new fucking army that is going to have no rules to start marching in the streets.
You can't figure out a bullet to the brain.
Right? And, here's the problem. They're not going to use bullets. I just described to you what they're going to do. They're going to utilize the drone technology because it's easy to build those things, because you can build them in fucking war-torn Ukraine right now. They have the blueprints because the Ukrainians had to figure out how to defend themselves from Donald Trump's buddy invading them. And if you want to know why, one of the reasons that fucking Trump was calling out Vladimir.
Oh, Putin. Sorry.
What's it? Vladimir Zelensky, right? I was trying to remember his last name.
Okay.
One of the reasons that Trump was calling him out is so that he could get some of the diagrams of how they were building their systems. That's why. It's one of the chips that Zelensky has had when Trump was talking about playing cards.
That's it. Those were the cards.
One of the cards that Zelensky had is the technology that they have figured out with drones in the last 2 years of fighting off the invading Russian forces. Do you think that they have made all of that information public? If they made it public, Russia would know how to invade them better. They have a bunch of fucking drone secrets that they have managed to figure out over the last 2 years of avoiding getting fucking murdered, right? There's nothing more motivating than somebody threatening murder. And the Ukrainians have been figuring out how to avoid the Russians from murdering them with drones. And it's one of the fucking things that Zelensky had as a bargaining chip in the card game that Donald Trump references. Is here's how we've been doing some of this shit. And it's what Trump wanted. Trump wanted that technology from the Ukraine. And now he has it. And if people are wondering why we would have the gall to bomb places like Iran, is because Trump has a hotline to Iran and warned them that we were going to do it. And since then, a bunch of reports have come out that we warned Iran that we were going to do it, and then Iran warned us that they were going to bomb our stuff in air quote retaliation. Strangely enough, nobody died. I wonder why. So we could all get super fucking distracted that World War III was going to break out with brown people on the other side of the planet, so we could continue to obfuscate from the fact that they're funding a military force that has no rules of engagement. So that the years and years of dehumanizing that Donald Trump has been doing at his crazy ass fucking what do you call those events that he throws?
Rallies.
Yeah, these rallies and shit like that, where he's been talking about how Democrats are fucking demons and ghouls, right? We're all a bunch of subhuman pieces of shit, that we're all fucking that all of the press and everybody is all a bunch of the, you know, I mean, you continue to go down the list. Is it Harvard? Is it scientists? Is it fucking, who is it? It's somebody every week, right?
Lawyers, judges.
And so that when all of these people one day suddenly just literally explode, the answer will be, oh, well, they must have gotten raptured or whatever. They were just bad people or whatever, right? And I have to admit, my own fear is that a drone is just going to come down and blow me up. Because what kind of defense do you have against that? You don't. Like, there's no defending it unless you can figure out how to operate an RF jammer, right? And jam signal in your area to stop it from being able to hit you. But I mean, the average person, what are you going to spend 24 hours a day watching out in case an automated drone that is run by a fucking computer program that doesn't have to sleep, that doesn't have to eat, that doesn't have kids, that doesn't have a hurt back, right? Doesn't have a sprained ankle. And that's what's going to happen very, very soon. And I'm very worried about it. And it's not even fun. I don't even find this it's not even fun to talk about. It's not even fun to theorize about, but it's what they're doing. And it's going to be horrifying. You know, I don't know. I don't think I'll necessarily make the list, right? We got 60 people or what, 100 people watch this live stream or whatever. Maybe I make the list. Who knows? Fucking Google is probably, and Palantir is tracking me, right? So whatever their metric is, sometimes you have a tattoo and you get sent to a fucking death camp in another country, right? Maybe some of my tattoos have triggered Palantir system. Maybe talking on YouTube has triggered Palantir system. I don't know. But, you know, it's the unfortunate thing is it's going to be people like me that just disappear one day and you're like, what happened to that guy? I don't know. He's just gone now. You know, Vicky will be sad. Olivia will be sad. My family will be sad. A lot of my friends will be sad and shit. 3 weeks from now, they'll figure out another thing to be distracted by because I won't be able to engage with any of the things that are happening. You know? Another one of my buddies died on Saturday, and now he's just dead. Right? Like, Ramsey isn't going to fuck with anything anymore. He's not going to be able to mess with anything. He's not going to be able to send out any messages, anything like that. He's just dead now. And the weird evangelical crowd has convinced people that that's fine because you'll just get to live in your weird made up afterlife thing that you believe in, that there's just other life you get to live after living this life. So don't worry about anything that happens to you now because you just get to go live on a cloud somewhere like, I don't know, Goku from fucking Dragon Ball Z. Just some shit that some guy made up. But here we are. And I'm kind of personally, I have a regret, and I would like to vocalize this regret that I should have just moved to fucking Portugal or something. I should have just flown to fucking New Zealand and been like, I'm here with my family and we live here now, claiming political asylum. Yeah, I don't know. You know, I should have. You know, other people were like, don't get all crazy. Don't fucking jump to conclusions. Don't do any of that stuff. And I've said it before to other people. I don't know if I've said it on YouTube, but like, I don't want to fight a war. You know, my resting position is pacifism because you have to be an abject, insane person to be non-pacifist most of the time, right? Like, my resting position is peaceful, right? And I would be less concerned by the idea of like having to fight a war or whatever if I didn't have a certain person that's counting on me to exist for the next 20 years, you know? But I don't know. Maybe evangelicals just don't give a shit about their kids. Maybe they don't care. Maybe they don't care. Maybe they don't care about their friends or their kids or their family or their spouses or anything. Maybe they don't care about anything anymore. Maybe it is just 100% capitalism. It's everything for myself. And it's just pure narcissism all the way down. I don't know. Maybe. That might be the case. But it certainly doesn't make me happy to tell you on July 7th of 2025. This is like if you were waiting for the downfall, like it's here and it's coming, and get some extra food, get some extra water, and figure out an evacuation plan because it's fucking coming. I don't know what else to tell people, you know, like you will need food, you will need water. At least I can give you that advice, right? Anyhow.